Three, two, one.
You ready?
You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We are the Real Pineapple. This is Hunter here. Hope you guys are having a good start to your week. So, I will say, in the quick review I'm about to do here, this may be the quickest review that I ever do. I'm reviewing here Hunter Killer, which came out this past weekend, starring Gerard Butler, Gary Oldman, Common. Here's the thing about this movie. How do I put this? So usually I'll see movies Thursday nights, typically, that we end up reviewing. And to be honest, I went in this movie not with the best attitude, because let's face it, Gerard Butler has been very, very much in that camp of, I'm handsome with an accent. I don't have to try. Why would I try to act when I could just, coast on my good looks and my charm? London Has Fallen, even though I fully acknowledge that and Olympus Has Fallen are dumb movies, I at least had fun with them, to be fair. Something like, oh god, what was that last movie he did? Geostorm, which all three of us just went, god, this is crap. But it was at least fun, B-movie level crap. This movie is so bad, I remember just thinking, man, I would rather be watching down Periscope right now than to be than to be actually watching this. And the thing I will say too is not Gerard Butler, but Gary Oldman, yes, less than a year removed from winning an Oscar, is in this, and he's just phoning it in like there's no tomorrow. So and I'm actually going to read the plot verbatim from Rotten Tomatoes, because it honestly will give a better description than probably I could, because, as I mentioned, I was sitting there and this movie just bored to tears. So, deep under the Arctic Ocean, American submarine captain Joe Glass, Joe Glass, that's his name, good grief, is on the hunt for a U.S. sub in distress when he discovers a secret Russian coup is in the offing, threatening to dismantle the world order. Captain Glass must assemble an elite group of Navy SEALs to rescue the kidnapped Russian president and sneak through enemy waters to stop World War III. So, here's the thing about this movie, too. I was just not just bored, but the movie goes so slow, and you would think with a movie that has submarines and the concept of war hanging over it that it would be more exciting, but it's really not. So I'll just go down the list here. Gerard Butler, who plays Captain Joe Glass. The one thing I will give Gerard Butler in this movie, there is a scene kind of early on when he takes over the sub, where he talks about to everyone on the who's a part of the crew, talking about, I was one of you, I did your jobs, I didn't, have this handed to me. That was one of the few scenes in the movie I went, you know what? Okay, if you could maintain this for the whole movie, they couldn't, then, maybe I'd give this a little more slack, but it's just, they can't do that. Also, Common is in this movie as a guy named John Fisk. And Common, it's really weird seeing him in this right after seeing The Hate U Give, and I thought he was so good in that, to them basically regulating him to having these kind of verbal dick measuring contests with Gary Oldman, that it seems like he's losing, by the way, because Gary Oldman, he's in classic I just need to check Gary Oldman mode. He's just yelling like, "You can't do this! You started knowing you started a war, but you lost it as well." Like he's doing that Gary Oldman trope when he doesn't give a shit. Common is in this and he's trying, man, but they really just kind of pushed him to the side and said, "Hey, when you're in a scene, walk around and pretend like you're typing on a computer." And it just comes across really, really not only just not genuine, but it just comes across like he's just such a bad actor, which is a shame because I think he's better than he's given credit for. But in this, you wouldn't have known it. And Linda Cardellini's in this, who's one of my favorite actresses, and she has a thankless role. She comes around and kind of tries to try. She comes in and tries to actually act in this movie, which was probably her first mistake. If you don't know who Linda Cardellini is, she was in The Founder. She was in both Daddy's Home movies, unfortunately, but she was in The Lazarus Project, which I actually really enjoyed her in. Brokeback Mountain, of course. She's a really great actress, and she deserves better than this. Thankfully, Green Book is coming out in a couple weeks, so hopefully she's better than this. She has nothing to do. And the one thing you'd think this movie would be good at, which is the sub kind of battles, the torpedoes or the missiles, they really look like something out of Super Mario. They might as well have faces painted on the bullets, and they just look so bad as far as the CG. This really screams like this was something that was supposed to come out on Netflix or maybe even Redbox, because I think Netflix would give this way more of a budget. This felt like one of those Bruce Willis action movies that he's been doing in between doing all his the couple bad theatrical movies he does a year. It really felt like something like that, but they got Gary Oldman, so they went, well, he's won an Oscar, so we can't put this directly to Redbox. We have to get a theatrical release. This will be something that you just don't even remember, honestly, in a month. This will be something that someone will bring up to me and go, "Did you ever see that?" And I'd go, "Oh, that's right. I did see Hunter Elite or Hunter Killer." I don't know why I keep wanting to call it Hunter Elite. The other thing about this too is that it's not bad like Geostorm, but it's not fun bad like something like Olympus Has Fallen. It just kind of falls in that realm of I just didn't care. I just was bored to tears the whole time, and I was really fighting to stay awake, if I'm being completely honest. And this was at 7 at night. I mean, I wasn't tired at all when I saw Old Man and the Gun after this, which I will review as well. I was on the edge of my seat for that one, just genuinely enjoying the experience, and this was just really troublesome to get through, and it felt like a marathon. This felt like it was a 3 hour movie. I know it wasn't. It was just over two, but this was just exhausting to get through. And from the way everything is shot, because there's a point where Common and Gary Oldman, their characters, are talking to each other, and the camera's spinning around. I went, there's no reason you can have, there's a shot of them that's established and not be shaking the camera and everything. And it just comes across hollow as hell. There's nothing about this that I really enjoyed outside of a couple scenes where that one scene Gerard Butler got to talk, and then there's a scene near the end where Gerard Butler is Joe Glass. He's navigating the sub through this not a minefield, but this like spot in the water that's littered with bombs. And I went, okay, that was actually tension filled. So I'll give the movie those 2-3 scenes. But outside of that, it's just a really hollow movie that if you paid anything more than a red box to see, I think you would genuinely be disappointed. So as far as getting my final grade, I can't give it a go fuck yourself, because there's maybe 10-15 minutes or so that I enjoyed. But outside of that, it really is just a big waste of time. And Gerard Butler, Joe Glass, as a character, we should care about him, and he's right all the time. Everything he says is correct. No one ever questions anything he says. When they do, he pretty much goes, hey, look at me. I'm handsome. It's okay. I mean, he basically does that, and everyone goes, oh, okay, well, I guess he knows what he's talking about. It's really irritating. It's a bummer, to be honest, that it's got a theatrical release, a wide theatrical release. When you think about all the other movies that would kill for a wide theatrical release, that won't see that. So, I guess I'd give this D for dumb, as we happen to say on here. It's a D. I didn't think about walking out, but I was sitting there thinking, this really is just a waste, and I don't ever want to talk about this again. So, D for Hunter Killer, which, if it's on some people's worst of list, I wouldn't be surprised. I just didn't hate it enough to put it on mine. More than likely. So, guys, what did you think of Hunter Killer? Let us know in the comments below. You can follow us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play Music at The Real Pineapple. Follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. You can follow our bud Scott on Twitter at Nearman1st. And you can follow Colin on Twitter at The Real, that's REEL, O'Neill. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We will have reviews up this weekend for The Nutcracker in the Four Realms, which, Bohemian Rhapsody, and the new Tyler Perry movie, my old nemesis we meet again, Nobody's Fool. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon.